now turn our attention to healthcare. Is my slide going to be up now? So, my name is Susan McClure. I want to thank everybody for allowing me to be here today. It's really quite an honor, and Santo Domingo is lovely. I'm looking forward to going to Samana Bay after this. So I, in 2014, launched the very first consumer media company in the United States, exclusively devoted to personalized medicine and genomics. So I must start this talk by telling you I am not a scientist, I'm a journalist, and I am a 2-time cancer survivor. So I am very, very committed to educating everyday people about how their treatment options are changing thanks to our increased understanding of our own DNA. We're moving beyond the standard of care to a time where people are going to have so many more treatment options than ever before, and I feel that the lay audience is largely unaware of this, and so this mission is very, very personal to me. And it all starts with this girl right here. So Lee Tomlinson was the first person I ever met in my days after my diagnosis, which was in 1997, was my first one. She was the first person that had exactly the same type of cancer that I had. So I thought, this is fascinating. And she called me completely distraught one day. We met for lunch, and the poor girl had just lost her boyfriend less than a year ago to a recurrence of non-Hodgkin lymphoma. And she said, "Oh, please, please tell me that I am not going to have to endure the same horrible end that Scott had." See, she didn't know him when he was diagnosed the first time, and she was committed to helping him knock this second cancer out. She was going to help him kick it to the curb. Unfortunately, he lost. And so she was, as you can imagine, very, very scared. And I told her, I said, "Look, you've got exactly the same type of cancer that I was diagnosed with 10 years ago. They're putting you on exactly the same treatment plan. You're healthy." She was a runner. She didn't eat any sugar. She was the poster child of perfect health. And so she felt a lot better after that lunch, and she started therapy a few days later. So after 6 months of treatment, she was deemed cancer-free, and we all had a huge celebration. We did the radiation celebration where you have green cocktails in test tubes, and she came in sporting this really cute short haircut because she had lost all of her beautiful long curls to chemotherapy. But she looked terrific, and she said she really liked her little pixie cut, and she was probably just going to stick with that for a while. Someone asked her how it felt to be a cancer survivor. And she said, "I don't want cancer to define me. I'm going to just move on with my life post-cancer, and everything's going to go back to normal." She said, "I guess I got cancer without the epiphany." And we all laughed, and she went on her way. Well, a couple of months later, she called me with a nagging pain in her side, and I said, "That's also normal. Every ache and pain post-cancer is something that you're going to worry about, and you're going to think it's back. And so just call your doctor, have him check you out. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about." So she goes back to the doctor, and unfortunately, not only was it back, it was everywhere. It was everywhere, in her brain, in her bones. It was everywhere. And so, everyone was obviously horrified. She died on January 5th, 2008. And I thought, how can this be? We had exactly the same cancer. And what I realized since, what I've realized since, is that our cancers weren't the same. That the unique characteristics of each person's cancer makes it unique. And we're moving from a time where it's a one-size-fits-all standard of care approach to targeted therapies that interact with the genetic biomarkers that either promote cancer or protect us from cancer. So this is such an exciting time in medicine, and I just wish that girl was here to experience it. So when I was doing the business plan for the media company, I started researching treatment options for people with chronic and life-altering diseases, and I was quite astonished that many times they don't work. And I thought, gosh, if this was any other consumer company, if this was BMW, I mean, would somebody pay $61,000 for a car that only works 25% of the time? I mean, there would be, riots in the streets. But quite honestly, in the pharmaceutical industry, many times the first round of therapy for people, the standard of care for therapy for people doesn't work. If you look at cancer, for example, only 25% of the time does treatment work. So we've got this standard of care approach where 5 patients are given 1 therapy and 1 benefits, 3 have no effect at all, and 1 has such bad side effects that they have to get off treatment altogether. But the good news is, thanks to genomics, 5 people have a disease. We do biomarker diagnostics where we look at blood and DNA and urine and tissue samples. And based on that, each person is given a medicine that's personalized to them, and they all have a good effect. So the Personalized Medicine Coalition did a study back in 2018 because they wanted to understand how many people in the general population really understand what personalized medicine means. And so they got the results back, and it was 34% of the people that they interviewed had heard of the term personalized medicine. Of those, only 13% of them really felt like they really understood what personalized medicine was, and unfortunately only 10% had ever had a doctor talk to them about it. When they were told what personalized medicine is, they overwhelmingly wanted to learn more about it. So they had a positive reaction about it. There was a little negative reaction in terms of cost. People thought, wow, if it's really personalized, will we be able to afford it? But overall, most people were very, very interested in learning more. On the flip side, the American College of Physicians queried internists and asked them, about personalized medicine. And they understood a lot about genetics, but when it came to which test to order, which test was reimbursable, talking to family members about testing, their confidence level went down pretty quickly. And then we said, okay, they asked, how much time are you willing to devote to learning about this topic? And the majority said 1 to 2 hours. That was not a week. That was not 1 to 2 hours a month. That was just 1 to 2 hours. So I really feel that people can grasp really complicated scientific information if their lives depend on it. They really want these answers. And they will read, and they will talk to friends and family. So I really feel that education is going to help bridge the gap between meaningful discussions that patients and their healthcare professionals should have. So I really think we need to be engaging with lay people and empowering them with good quality information. And then we also need to we need to empower consumers to ask the right questions at the right time so that they can get on the right treatments. And we need to educate the doctors because the field is changing so rapidly. And then, help them succeed by giving them more quality information. But the field of genomics is not just for sick people. As you guys know, since many of you are in tech and emerging technologies, the field is growing at a rapid pace, and people all over are generating their own data. They're accessing data on their phones, their smartphones, and then they're even sharing that data, connecting all these things with their EHRs. So in 2016, 103 million wearables were sold in just that 1 year, and I'm sure that number has exploded since. So to give you an example of how big this field is, in fact, MIT Tech Review just recently reported that 26 million people have participated in exploring their DNA. So that means they've taken an ancestry test, or they 23andMe, something like that. It's expected that in just 2 years, that number will have grown to 100 million. So I really felt in my time with this consumer media company that there was a need for a really trusted third party who would give independent, fact-based information in a language that could be understood by lay people. And so we started Genome Magazine. So during my time there, we not only did a national magazine, we had events, we hosted a podcast, we had educational apps and games that people could download. So we wanted to meet people wherever they were so that they could get access to this information, and it was all free. So our mission statement: to explore the world of personalized medicine and the genomic revolution that makes it possible, empowering you to make informed health decisions that help you live better and longer. Genomics covers every aspect of our lives. So did our company. We were talking about research, we were talking about lifestyle, ethical and social issues, and I know we'll get into more of that in some of the upcoming presentations. So at the end of last year, the team and I decided to part ways with my former investor, who started restaurants instead. And we are committed to continuing this opportunity to share stories with people, because we know that the space really needs it, and we know that education is key to advancing this field responsibly. So, thank you. Before I welcome our next speaker to the stage, remember to please send your questions through the Whova community app board. So, as we gain more insight into what makes us tick, people have become eager to uncover the genetic fountain of youth, the key to living healthier lives. Procter & Gamble has been investing in genomics to improve the products people use every day. To tell us more about that, please welcome Dr. Jay Theismann, the genomics group leader in the Global Bioscience Division of the Procter & Gamble Company. Welcome, Dr. Theismann.